It looks like this goes all the way to the top. I can't trust anyone, least of all the police, and time's running out. I've got to get the one piece of evidence that will expose Starkweather without a shadow of a doubt. Footage and testimony of a man who was executed by the state 5 hours ago.
If I asked you to name a Rockstar Games franchise, you'd most likely say Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption. These two are the poster children for Rockstar, widely considered their magnum opus by the vast majority of fans. Their games are known for delivering impactful stories with memorable protagonists and providing fun, replayable gameplay. Rockstar has a collection of games that are unlikely to ever see the light of day again due to undivided attention to these two series. But there is one title that will never make a return due to its seemingly endless controversies and its involvement in an international murder case in 2004. In the county of Leicestershire, England, 14-year-old Stephen Piquero was murdered by 17-year-old Warren LeBlanc when the older teen had attempted to rob him. Many people, including Piquero's parents, were convinced the murder was caused by Manhunt, one of Rockstar's newest games at the time. The police provided their sympathies to Piquero's parents for the tragic loss of their son, but confirmed that the game didn't inspire LeBlanc to mimic the murders in real life, and even confirmed that the game found in the killer's bedroom belonged to the victim and not LeBlanc. The truth is, LeBlanc owed money to a gang, and his desperation led him to lure Piquero to the park to steal money from him and pay off his debts. He had never meant to take his life or recreate the murders in Manhunt, but that didn't make the death of Stephen Piquero less devastating to his loved ones. The heartbreaking case had a ripple effect throughout the world. The game's reputation had already been permanently damaged in a climate where video games were being used as a scapegoat for real-world tragedies. Retailers began pulling it from shelves, and the game, which was already unpopular among politicians campaigning against violence in video games, was banned in multiple countries. The developers themselves also expressed discomfort with developing the game, revealing that the unnecessary and sadistic brutality almost caused a mutiny in the studio. While at the time, controversy was nothing new for Rockstar, since GTA was a biting parody of the real world and the comedic tone made the violence against already shady characters feel lighter, Manhunt was different. It was dark and bleak, and many felt it was needlessly vicious. It was a stark departure from the satire of Rockstar's usual works. The game revolves around a death row inmate named James Earl Cash, who was sentenced to death by lethal injection for a crime that was never disclosed. He wakes up a few hours later when a man speaks over the intercom and guides him through the rest of the fictional Carcer City.
You're getting a second chance. Another throw of the dice.
The voice is an ex-movie director, Lionel Starkweather, who was once respected in the movie scene until he got involved in a snuff film ring. He would make profit by making movies about people getting killed in front of a camera, and Cash was his newest star. The people hunting the player are different groups of gangs hired by Starkweather, ranging from regular street thugs to white supremacists to asylum patients. Starkweather's lust for violence and sick cinema become apparent when Cash's own family is kidnapped, and the director finds a sickening glee in the condition that if the current gang sees him just once, they will kill one of his family members immediately. Whether or not the inmate successfully saved his whole family doesn't matter. In the next chapter, Starkweather shows Cash a film of his family being recaptured and killed anyways, his efforts completely wasted. To rub salt in the wound, the director reminds Cash his family wasn't there when he was on death row, solidifying the inmate's isolation and his resentment for Starkweather. The game gets exponentially more difficult as later you're forced to fight your way through the police and a heavily armed private militia. But the most memorable and horrifying enemy aren't the Cerberus guards. It's the 300-pound chainsaw-wielding cannibal in Starkweather's attic wearing a pig's head. If there was ever a time the game terrified you into hiding, it was the first half of the finale. When you're not listening to Pigsy's manic screeching or the menacing rumble of the chainsaw, you're being shown the remains of his victims scattered around the decrepit room. But once Cash finally makes it to Starkweather's room to avenge his family, he brutally kills the director and gives him the most disturbing snuff film yet in a final act of poetic justice. It's unclear what happens to Cash afterwards. But the game's intrigue doesn't just rely on the minimal storytelling. Manhunt features a unique way to kill enemies through a tiered execution system. White is a quick, efficient kill, yellow is more violent, and red is the most sadistic and cruel, yet the most rewarding. The game not only encourages you to move within the shadows, but practically forces you to. You are constantly reminded this is not GTA. You're not fighting some sweet pedestrians in a brightly lit city. You're being hunted by killers who want to murder you in the most agonizing way in a dark, grimy alleyway. If you try to fight these hunters head-on, there is a staggering chance you will die. The the fighting system is incredibly punishing. You're forced to lure the hunters to their deaths to even stand a chance. The game forces you to think like prey and outsmart your enemies rather than face them directly. While the game mechanics were ultimately the same, many people weren't fond of the sudden change in direction in Manhunt 2, from the dirty snuff film aesthetic to the MK Ultra conspiracy plot. The second game follows an entirely new story with a different protagonist. Daniel Lamb was a once brilliant scientist who was involved with the Pikmin project, whose goal was to create a killer with an alter ego without any recollection of who he is. He houses a government assassin named Leo Casper in his head, and the story follows the two through an asylum riot, a club of perverts, and the rest of the lawless streets of Cottonmouth to uncover the mystery behind the project. Just like Starkweather in the previous game, Leo is a constant presence in Danny's ear, convincing him to make each kill more gruesome than the last, all in the name of dismantling Pikmin's experiment. His antagonism becomes more revealing through his increasingly unhinged and bloodthirsty dialogue. It's later revealed that the experiment quickly got out of hand as Leo had taken over Danny's body and killed his wife. The battle quickly becomes internal as Danny fights to lock Leo in the deepest recesses of his mind. Unlike the first game, Manhunt 2 features two endings, one where you defeat Leo but Danny loses all memory of who he is, and one where Leo successfully takes over Danny's mind depending on the difficulty you chose and how many civilians you killed. The quiet tragedy of the second game lies in the contrition Danny has that Cash doesn't.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
If he sees you, he will kill you, understand? Waste him!
But he's a nurse. He'll help me. This is insane.
While Cash is a cold-hearted killer who shows no remorse for the lives he takes, Danny is disgusted with the blood that Leo spilled using his hands. He's a mild-mannered family man who got caught up in the wrong scheme. His empathy makes him stand out among the casual bloodshed surrounding him, separating him from Cash's unbothered and efficient cruelty. Similar to its predecessor, Manhunt 2 faced its own set of controversies. Because of the much more ruthless and gory executions, it got slapped with an adults-only rating, which is considered the kiss of death in the gaming industry since companies like Microsoft and Sony don't allow AO games to be sold on their platforms. Rockstar had to scramble to censor the executions to satisfy the ESRB and get it toned down to a mature rating. And similar to the first entry, Manhunt 2 was also banned in multiple countries. While the retail version of the game was censored, it was possible to buy the uncensored version for PC from a digital storefront called Direct to Drive, which allowed adult-only games, but after it was purchased by Gamefly in 2011, it disappeared from the store. The second game isn't available anywhere in 2026, and you're no longer able to purchase it from any store. While you're able to buy the first Manhunt on Steam, it's notoriously broken since Rockstar ported a cracked version of it years ago, and the anti-piracy traps trigger and purposely break the game. Rockstar has expressed no interest in releasing a proper re-release or a remaster of either game, which is a real shame since both are incredible in their respective ways. A continuation of the series is highly unlikely as well due to the controversy and the stigma surrounding it, both on the media's end and the developers. Despite the fact we'll never see a Manhunt 3, there's no denying the rebellious genius of Rockstar at the time and how far this series pushed the boundary of what was acceptable in a world where games were seen as dangerous. Manhunt rightfully remains a cult classic of the 2000s to this day.